Dear ministers of the Benelux countries and regions, dear first vice president of the European Commission, and dear bicycle stakeholders viewing this webinar at home. Welcome to our digital Benelux house. And thank you very much for being here with us today for this historic event. Historical as it is the first time that we are organizing a digital gathering of the ministers to sign a political declaration. Moreover, we are trying together to exit an unprecedented health crisis. And there's a very good reason for doing this together with Europe and the European Commission, trying to make cycling a structural element of the European Green Deal. And the potential of cycling is of course not limited to the Benelux region. The COVID crisis has pointed out that very clearly. In almost all European countries and cities, bicycle use has drastically increased during lockdown periods, and therefore we want to ensure that our message today reaches further than just the borders of the Benelux region. And it's also for that reason that we are talking English today in this meeting. Most of us had no idea what impact the COVID crisis would have on our daily lives. Suddenly, all of us were bound to stay at home, maintaining contact with our family, friends and colleagues via digital channels, forced to adapt to different lifestyles. And at the same time, one started realizing that the lockdown also had some positive side effects by strongly reducing congestion and by improving air quality. Personally, my bike allowed me to stay fit during the lockdown while rediscovering the very beautiful border area between Flanders and the Netherlands in our beautiful province of Limburg. Unfortunately, I had to stay on one side of the border, but nevertheless. The bicycle suddenly became an important equal mode of transport, allowing us to keep a distance while at the same time staying active and healthy. And actions to stimulate the use of the bicycle have appeared all over Europe, and it's because of this that we are delighted to see this enforced cooperation between our Benelux ministers to promote the bicycle both inside as well outside our region. I would like to give the floor to the Dutch presidency of the Benelux, State Secretary Stientje van Veldhoven, to officially open this digital ministerial meeting. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Frans, and a great welcome to all of you. Of course, a special welcome to European Commission Executive Vice President Frans Timmermans, who is leading the Commission's work on the European Green Deal. And today we mark an important occasion, the signing of a political declaration through digital means by the Benelux countries on the urgent need for stimulating cycling as an alternative transport mode in urban mobility. The COVID crisis is on a scale that we have not seen before in Europe. It's one of the biggest challenges the global community has to face. One that also has enormous impact on the transport sector. Aviation, road traffic, and public transport are all affected. Worldwide, countries have taken measures and called on citizens to reduce their movements to reduce disease transmission. Alongside record falls in traffic, there's been an enormous decline in air pollution. But in cities around the world at the same time, people have taken to walking and cycling, safe and viable alternatives to other forms of transport. And everyone's discovered what we already know: cycling is an effective, climate-friendly, safe and healthy transport mode. Many people who used to commute by car didn't really miss their daily commute. People who cycled, a recent report showed, do. And I'm one of them, I can tell you. Whenever possible, I still use my bike to go to work. I believe that in Europe, we should use this momentum to stimulate cycling even more and bring about a structural change on our streets, making both urban and rural areas more livable and economically viable. A shift to sustainable and smart mobility is also a major element in the European Green Deal, which Commissioner Timmermans put forward. And this is crucial because in order to achieve climate neutrality, also a 90% reduction in transport emissions is needed by 2050. And we all know that these are difficult discussions in the Council on reducing transport emissions, but cycling can also help to achieve that reduction. We need to start a bicycle revolution in Europe for less air pollution, less noise pollution, and much healthier citizens. And it makes good economic sense too. Stimulating and investing in cycling infrastructure could lead to net social benefits of 9 to 20 billion euros in Europe. So it's no regret that we, representative of the Benelux, took the initiative for the political declaration we're about to sign. Because of course, in this very densely populated region, cycling is immensely popular, and the absence of hills will definitely also have something to do with it. But an electric bike can overcome many of these obstacles in other countries too. In my country, we have more bicycles than we have people. We have the highest density of cycling infrastructure, but still one of our goals, and it was even one of my goals before COVID-19, was to increase bicycle commuting. And thanks to e-bikes, commuters can cover greater distances by bike on a daily basis, or if you're not in such a flat country, battle the hills. So we have to actively promote cycling as a clean, smart and healthy transport mode in Europe. In our declaration, we, the Benelux countries, call upon the Commission to prioritize cycling in new initiatives. To use, for example, the current review of the 10T regulation to optimize co-funding possibilities. Moreover, we suggest allocating other EU funding to cycling policies, for example, under the European Green Deal. And we also call upon other EU member states and non-EU member states to endorse our statement. And I know that countries like Ireland, Switzerland, and Norway have already expressed their interest in joining us. Just 2 weeks ago, Ireland's Transport Minister Hildegard Norton and I launched the Transport Climate Action Directory, an initiative of the International Transport Forum, which Ireland is currently chairing. They put a lot of effort into this fantastic database. A database of policy measures to reduce carbon emissions from transport, underscoring the important role of cycling for future mobility. We have to do this together, member states, the Commission, and regional and local authorities. And although the impact of COVID-19 is dramatic, it also offers an opportunity to make our cities more livable, to reduce emissions, reduce pollution, for all European citizens can breathe clean air. So it's necessary, smart, and wise for a better future for us all. In this decade of change, let's work together to pursue our ambitions and accelerate action. Together, we can make the transition in transport and mobility irreversible. So let's start pedaling together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stientje van Veldhoven. May I give the floor to Frans Timmermans.
Thank you very much, Frans, and thank you for having me in this Benelux meeting. A very familiar surrounding for me, of course. Thank you for this wonderful initiative, which I think is very timely and very appropriate. And I'd love to pick it up and be your ambassador for this in the Commission, but also elsewhere. You know, today is 14 Juillet. Normally we celebrate two things. 14 Juillet in France, and also we watch one of the stages in the Tour de France to see whether the French can actually win a stage on 14 Juillet. It's always the same thing every year, except for this year. So, you know, cycling has been a big part of my life. I used to compete in cycling. I've been cycling all along, even here in Brussels. I live in Tervuren, which is approximately 13 kilometers from Berlaymont.
And the steep hill.
Yep.
And the steep hill.
True, the steep hill, but that can all be dealt with an electric bike, I can tell you. And I bike to work regularly. And I have seen the infrastructure improve. Flanders has really upped the ante in cycling infrastructure and has huge plans for the years to come. Brussels has really now discovered this as a big thing, and you know, to be honest with you, I feel safe now cycling to work, with the exception of the last more or less 2 kilometers. From Montgomery to Berlaymont, still have to be very careful. So Brussels, do something about that. But you know, I look out of my window here, I see the Rue de la Loi, which is now one lane dedicated to cycling. It's a temporary solution. It would be wonderful if it were to become permanent. I think that would be a great thing. I see what the city here is doing, and I'm naming Brussels because I'm here. But this is something you see all across Europe, and may I say, all across the world. And this is a momentum we cannot afford to lose. We need to change our vision of mobility, certainly urban mobility. We need to think in terms of modular urban mobility. When we walk, we can walk, we walk. When it's too far, we take a bike. When it's not good enough, we take public transport. When that's not good enough, we phone and we take a taxi. So, or app and take an Uber or a taxi. So all these things are becoming part of normal life, but our infrastructure is not ready yet. And I think we can, from the European Commission with the Next Generation EU and the renovation wave we are planning to initiate, we should be looking at urban infrastructure. We should make it less attractive to have a lot of cars in the inner cities, more attractive to have bicycles, and do all this without decreasing the comfort of our citizens who want to have the mobility in the best possible way. We would do miracles for the air quality in our cities if we do that. We do miracles for the livability in the city. We would render a lot of attractiveness to inner cities that, because of the changing shopping habits, are struggling to keep attractiveness. But if it is green, if it is clean, if it is clean mobility, if it is safe, then people will come back to the inner city. So in all of this, in my view, cycling plays a crucial role. And there's two developments I want to mention at the end before stopping, which I think are important and we should stimulate. First of all, and for a Dutchman, this is not something new, but in many European countries, cycling was seen as a sport or something you do for recreation. It is now quickly becoming something you just do for transport needs. So the odd image of a Dutchman in his suit and tie on a bike, which the rest of the world was saying, hey, how's somebody like that on a bike, is becoming something we will do everywhere. And so we have to stimulate the development that cycling is just a commodity as part of your transportation needs and not just something you do for recreation. Hey, and by the way, it's good for you, for your health as well. So that's one end. The second element is, and which will need some more innovation, but it's important, the electrifying of cycling. It is creating, I would say, the democratization of cycling. So you don't only cycle at flat surfaces, you don't only cycle when you're young. So it's creating a whole new wave of accessibility to cycling for people who would normally shun away from it because they think it's too difficult or they're too old, etc. So we have a huge opportunity. It's not for nothing that the Financial Times was writing earlier this week or last week that there is a huge shortage of bikes worldwide. We should see in the construction of bikes, we should see this as a huge opportunity, economic opportunity as well. So for all these reasons, I love this initiative. I will do anything I can to promote it and to get others on board. And well, cycling is cool. It's getting cooler everywhere. It's the cool thing to do, and we should be promoting it. It's good for us. It's good for your health. It's good for society. So let's go. Let's take off with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frans Timmermans, and it's a great pleasure to see and actually feel the passion Stientje and you, Frans, shows in this topic. So I would like to hand over to the Minister of the Brussels region, Elke van der Brandt. And I would like to ask you, the three of you, also to prepare for signing the document. And after the intervention of Elke van der Brandt, we will show a short movie, a short animation movie, and then we have further interventions of the other ministers of the regions and countries. Mrs. Elke van der Brandt.
First of all, thank you very much for organizing this. I hope one day we will do it over in real life and see each other and look each other in the eye when a moment we sign this agreement. I think it's very important to promote and to promote the use of the bicycle within Europe, within the Benelux, and certainly also within Brussels. Brussels is not seen as a bicycle region, but we are convinced to change that, because we know that if we promote cycling, we know it's good for our own health, it's good for the air quality, it's good for the viability of our city, it's good for the traffic jams, because we're one of the most congested cities in Europe. So there's a lot of benefits from promoting cycling, and we have a lot of potential to do so. There's only about 6 to 8% of bicycle use in Brussels for transport, so we know we can gain a lot if we invest. And we're convinced that the best campaign for a bicycle is a good bicycle path. Creating infrastructure is the best way to convince people to cycle. As said, especially with electrical bikes coming up, because Brussels is not as flat as Amsterdam. So having the electrification of bicycle is indeed something that is convincing people, but having the good infrastructure to do so is also important. And in Brussels, we've started with that a few years ago, but we really need to speed up our game and make sure that we really seduce people by offering safe infrastructure. That's why during the COVID crisis, we said that we would speed up the infrastructure with 40 kilometers of extra bicycle lanes. We're about 30 kilometers today, so I hope by the end of the summer we are at 40 kilometers. That's not all we're doing. We're also creating bike and park. Yeah? The people who come from a farther away, they can come with a car to Brussels, but leave their car and then continue with public transport or by bike. We have a free system of shared bikes for the moment. So in that way, we are really hoping that everybody can use those 40 kilometers as well. We're also investing in bicycle parking, because lots of people live in apartments and carrying your bike to the third floor is not that easy. So installing safe bicycle parking is also something which is really important. We're working on bicycle theft and several measurements. And that's all for people who are commuting or for recreational use. But we last week we got really good news from Europe as well. We got granted a project, the Cargo Bike project, which will make a boost on the cargo bikes, making sure that bicycle use is good for your own personal transport, but also for transporting goods or transporting several persons. And we know there's a lot of possibilities there. And thanks to this project we have with the European Union, we will be able to develop this in Brussels. So that shows that working together on an international level is helping us really to go ahead. So it's good to have this big boost from Europe for this project. Today we're signing this agreement with the Benelux, and this is something we will do everything to make sure it works. But I will go further and give a personal declaration to Mr. Timmermans by saying that the last 2 kilometers of his bicycle path will be installed before the end of this year. So give me a little more time. We are putting up the plans. We have the plans. We have had a meeting with the mayor of Etterbeek, and we do have a plan, and we are planning to put it in place in October. But let's say before the end of the year, we will make sure that you have a bicycle lane until Berlemont.
Elke van der Brand, for your very enthusiastic contribution, but also by mention concrete actions. And I hope we all can see what will be delivered before the end of the year here in Brussels. I would like to invite you to sign the document, to sign the agreement, the political declaration. I'm looking first to the Dutch presidency, Stientje van Veldhoven.
I come fully prepared, so I don't know if you can see the signature, but here it is. Frans?
Oh, that's great. And you can virtually hand over to Frans Timmermans.
And let me say on a personal note that I'm also very enthusiastic about the cycle lane, the last 2 kilometers from Berlaymont to Montgomery, because that used to be my cycling track too. So I know very well what an easy distance it is to cycle, and what a pity it is that there was no good cycling track. So very, very happy to hear that you're mending this.
Ms. Elke van der Brand, please sign the declaration.
I have the declaration with me as well, but it's...
That's great. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we have a short video please show the video, and then we go ahead with the Walloon minister and the Flemish minister, the Belgian federal minister, and then the Luxembourg minister, and then our Secretary General of the Benelux Union will say some final words. Please start the movie.
Dear colleagues, I am very happy to participate in this joint initiative for bicycle at the crossroads of Europe. The Benelux has a double characteristic compared to the bicycle. Located in the heart of the continent, it offers an extremely strong population density, which is a fundamental criterion when it comes to have an ambitious policy in mobility. Then the Benelux is a laboratory for everyday cycling. If in Wallonia the bicycle is not yet a reflex for all our fellow citizens, we are making great strides. As such, the COVID crisis was an important revealer which highlighted the fact that the bicycle is a solution allowing to meet an important economy, health, mobility triptych. In fact, the daily use of bikes solves many problems and generates great economies of scale. During COVID, here we took the opportunity to accelerate and encourage municipalities to adopt real ambitious measures for cycling. And I am very happy to tell you that it works in many municipalities. Today, many territories have made cycling a priority. So the infrastructure plan that we have just adopted in the government significantly increases the resources for cycling infrastructure in Wallonia. This is the essential step to secure and make continuous the bike routes, allowing the modal transfer to the bike to take place. This is why I am enthusiastic with you today to sign this political declaration to establish this cross-border roadmap on bicycle stimulation in the Benelux countries, as well as an appeal to the committee and all the states members to significantly increase the share of cycling in Europe. It's together that we'll get there. So I am signing now the engagement. Have a nice day.
Geachte heer commissaris, beste collega's, ook in Vlaanderen hebben wij een positieve fietstendens kunnen vaststellen tijdens de coronanoodmaatregelen. Iedereen heeft het fietsen herontdekt, zowel voor de functionele verplaatsingen als uiteraard ook voor toeristische verplaatsingen. En daar willen we ten zeerste aan vasthouden. We hebben dan ook in Vlaanderen een aantal maatregelen genomen. Op de eerste plaats een bedrag van 180 miljoen euro uitgetrokken om in 2020 te investeren in onze fietsinfrastructuur. Die moet veilig zijn, de missing links moeten wegverholpen worden en dergelijke meer. Naast deze investeringen hebben we ook ten volle ingezet op een campagne, op een sensibiliseringsactie. Blijven fietsen allemaal, dat komen we overal langs onze wegen tegen. Ten derde hebben we een toolbox duurzame mobiliteit gelanceerd, waarbij we onze lokale besturen faciliteren, informeren, maar zeker ook subsidiëren om tal van maatregelen te nemen om het fietsen nog aantrekkelijker te maken. En ook deelmobiliteit is uiteraard een belangrijk aspect. En wat dat betreft hebben we met Bluebike heel wat vouchers ter beschikking gesteld van onze inwoners, van de gebruikers, opdat zij eigenlijk kunnen proeven van de deelmobiliteit van onze Bluebike, om ook daarmee het fietsen te kunnen stimuleren. U ziet heel wat maatregelen en ik onderschrijf dan ook heel graag deze verklaring om toekomstgericht nog meer te doen. Ik dank u.
Chers collègues, monsieur le commissaire, la crise du Covid-19 a eu et a encore un impact important sur nos déplacements. Dans la plupart des pays européens, cela s'est traduit par un recours massif au télétravail, à une diminution drastique de l'usage des transports en commun et un recours accru à l'e-commerce et une forte augmentation de l'usage du vélo. En Belgique, ces tendances ont aussi pu être observées. Ces dernières semaines, on a enregistré un nombre de ventes records de vélos, y compris électriques, et beaucoup de personnes ont redécouvert les bienfaits du vélo et de la marche. Les activités d'entreprise de logistique à vélo se sont également développées dans les centres-villes. Pour encourager toujours plus à utiliser le vélo, les villes, les régions, l'État fédéral ont pris rapidement des mesures. Ainsi, en Belgique, que ce soit au niveau fédéral ou régional, des mesures transitoires Covid-19 ont été prises en faveur du vélo. À titre d'exemple, la création de pistes cyclables temporaires, la limitation de vitesse en centre-ville, les rues apaisées, la possibilité de prendre gratuitement sous certaines conditions son vélo dans le train. Cependant, ces mesures, bien que nécessaires et utiles, ne suffiront pas à elles seules à atteindre un modal chiffre substantiel en faveur de la mobilité douce, tel que nous le souhaiterions de manière permanente. Pour cela, il est nécessaire que chaque niveau de pouvoir, qu'il soit régional, national, européen, dans les limites de leurs compétences, prenne des mesures fortes et structurelles à leur niveau. En Belgique, au niveau fédéral, récemment, des modifications de code de la route ont permis de rendre plus sûrs les déplacements à vélo et de faciliter le développement du transport de marchandises en vélo cargo. Ce travail se poursuit dans le cadre de la révision générale du code de la route. Nous avons aussi conclu un partenariat entre Infrabel, gestionnaire du réseau ferroviaire belge, et les autorités régionales pour la mise à disposition de 90 km d'anciennes voies désaffectées pour les transformer en chemins destinés à l'usage des cyclistes et bien entendu des piétons. La fiscalité est un autre levier pour encourager l'usage du vélo, notamment pour les déplacements utilitaires. En effet, la pratique du vélo est encore trop souvent perçue comme un loisir. Ainsi, par exemple, l'exonération à hauteur de 24 cents de l'indemnité kilométrique vélo pour les déplacements domicile-travail stimule l'utilisation de celui-ci pour les déplacements domicile-travail, éventuellement en complément des transports en commun. Enfin, n'oublions pas le niveau Benelux qui permet la création de ce type de webinaire au cours duquel nous pouvons avoir un échange de bonnes pratiques en matière de promotion du vélo et qui permettra à l'avenir d'établir une feuille de route vélo au niveau Benelux et de la région Rhénanie du Nord-Westphalie. C'est pour l'ensemble de ces raisons que je vais signer la déclaration et vous remercie pour votre attention et pas uniquement le week-end mais aussi en semaine, pensez à utiliser le vélo. Voilà qui est fait, la déclaration est signée et je vous souhaite une excellente journée.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the current COVID-19 crisis had an enormous impact on mobility, not only within the Benelux countries, but also nearly in every part of the world. Since the lockdown, we are also experiencing a real cycling boom in Luxembourg. Cycling is an effective, climate-friendly, safe and healthy transport mode is becoming more and more a serious alternative for the citizens. The COVID crisis has underlined the necessity of changing our mobility systems. Many measures to promote cycling were taken by the governments all over the world and all over Europe. This year, Luxembourg launches the Cycling Summer 2020 for the first time. A selection of national roads will be reserved exclusively for cyclists during August to complete our national cycling network. Furthermore, we have increased the public subsidies on bicycles and pedelecs 25 to respond to this trend. Indeed, we have to seize the opportunity to support a mentality change in society and to promote cycling as one of the key solutions in the mobility challenges of the post-COVID-19 recovery. This declaration underlines the importance of cycling in the Benelux countries. It is obvious that the Benelux, as a living lab for cycling, can initiate some interesting cross-border cycling projects. In the context of the Green Deal, I call upon the European Commission, all the EU countries, as well as their regional and local authorities, to learn the right lessons from the current situation by taking the necessary initiatives to promote cycling as an attractive and serious mode of transport. As a first step, I sincerely welcome the initiative to develop a clear roadmap on cycling stimulation at Benelux level.
By thanking all the ministers and the Executive Vice President of the European Commission for interventions. I think all of them, and I was kind of following through them, underline the importance of bicycling during and post-COVID-19. Several times it has been stressed that the use of bicycles should get a more prominent role in the EU, and there are existing and encouraging new initiatives to underline that. I will not mention them all, but what I will mention is that I think efforts will be needed at EU level. That is for sure, and the Executive Vice President underlined it, but as well, and I heard that often enough, at national and local level. There are, and there will be, bicycle stimulation measures to be introduced. Why, and that is my question, why not promote a best practice scenario at Benelux level? We here at the Benelux Secretariat General are ready to set up, in that context, a Benelux platform for exchange, for knowledge, and last but not least, for innovation in that topic. We are all talking about a more rational way of mobility, and I heard it especially in urban mobility. Bikes do play an important role in a multimodal approach to mobility. It is now important that all these measures will stretch beyond COVID crisis, so that bicycle, and I heard that as well often enough, is integrated as a full-fledged normal part of our daily lives. I will stress it again, as an effective alternative to other means of mobility and go beyond sport and recreation. Thus, the political signal that you ministers of the Benelux countries and beyond are giving today comes at an important moment, and I am delighted to see that our countries can work together to raise attention on what is now becoming a very important topic. May I wish to englobe in the Benelux initiative as well our southern border, i.e. the French regions of Hauts-de-France and Grand Est. And to go beyond, it is indeed encouraging to see that other EU member states already show interest in our statement. We should not leave it to that and need to be more proactive to get, as Frans Timmermans said it, everyone on board. I would add to that, to get everyone on the bike. We see the political declaration as a starting point. The Benelux Secretary General certainly looks forward to further strengthening cooperation between our countries on that topic. I am looking personally at our next multi-annual work program with the hope that the Benelux countries will support further Benelux initiatives. And I am delighted to hear that we're already talking of a roadmap in that context.
I would close this meeting. Close is a beginning in a certain way, and I cannot do it without, let's say, a little word, which is to say Benelux is and will remain in movement. Benelux shifts to a higher gear while biking. And it is in that respect that we're opening new perspectives to stimulate the use of bikes. Thank you very much, ministers. Thank you very much, Frans, for his moderation. Thank you very much for our technical team and for our staff who has been very active in this respect. And I hope really that it is only a beginning. Thank you very much.